What's up everyone? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be making a St. John type beat. So yeah, a little bit of background as to who St. John is and what his music sounds like. If you guys don't know him, it's kind of like trap with elements of R&B. But the big reason as to why this beat, I would say, is like a St. John type beat is because he uses quite a lot of these weird sounding synths in his beats, kind of like they're straight out of like a early 2000s video like arcade game. They like on their own they'd sound not that nice, but they kind of really work in the trap context with like on top of some really nice chords, which is what I've basically done with this beat. So yeah, the main melodies are typically quite like vibey, quite spacey, with a bunch of reverb on them. I think this is to allow for such a sort of janky sounding synth to actually sound kind of good on top. You need something really ultra smooth playing underneath. So I opened up this preset in Omnisphere. It's like a Rhodes preset. It's called like a Frozen Piano or something like that. And it just sounded super spacey, super reverby, and just perfect for the type of beat that I wanted to make. I've also this week I've just bought myself 2 new plugins. One being Shaperbox, which is kind of like the gross beat for non-FL Studio users. Here it is here. I've played around with it a little bit. I still need to fully work it out, but it's a really great plugin. You can do a lot of cool stuff with your melodies. Lots of stuff you just can't really do without it, or can't do it as easily. It's just a super good UI, and you can just put it straight in, and you know it makes sense, the UI. So yeah, I put a shaper box on it, which is what you can probably hear. It's got quite a bit of movement, quite a bit of phasing and movement. It's quite choppy and stuff. And so once I had this melody, it was already sounding super full, just because of the nature of the instrument and how much reverb I put on it. So I decided to program in some drums straight away, and then I go back later on and add more melodies. But yeah, so the 2 plugins that I did get were Shaperbox and a new reverb plugin called Valhalla Room, which I've seen a lot of my favorite producers use. And I've always liked Space Designer. I thought it was good, but it definitely could have been better. So I think instead of just going ham with these super expensive instrument plugins, you may as well just start small and just upgrade what you've already got. So that's why I got the reverb plugin. So yeah, here I layer a snare and a clap, and the snare it's got quite a lot of low end. It's quite muddy. So when I'm layering a snare and a clap, I usually make sure the snare is particularly kind of real sounding and a bit muddy and a bit in the low end, so that the clap has room to fill up more of the higher frequencies, as opposed to them just trying to fight for the same sort of space and not in the EQ table. And with the secondary snares, I use just the snares as opposed to both of them. So it just makes it sound a bit more real, a bit more organized. And here I'm starting on the hats, and St. John's hats are typically, fairly trappy, lots of hi-hat rolls. I think one of the main things that sets his music apart from like the average trap though is his 808s, because he uses a lot of slides, but not really in like the drill sense or the typical trap sense. It's very much used as a sort of melodic component in his music. Yeah, they're really long slides, and the slides are between huge like pitch differentials kind of thing, so you can really hear them. So what I've done here for the 808s is I've just copy and pasted the MIDI notes from the main melody, and then just played around with the order. That's typically what I do most of the time. At the start it was a little bit too in key, as in like the 808s were just following it a little bit too much. You want the 808s not to be as melodic, as in literally following every single bass note. You want to move them around and to create some sort of bounce. but as St. John's a little bit more R&B than your typical trap artist, I made sure that it was still quite pretty pitched, and you know, was jumping around. And yeah, I also added a kick in terms of the bass. So there's me putting on the slides. You just go into the sampler and just add some glide time, and you can set the slider to however long you want the slides. I put it to fairly long here because, like I said, he does love a good slide, young St. John. So yeah, so I've done the 808, and this specific 808 sample didn't have much in the sort of 300-400 hertz frequency range, so I thought I'd add a kick. And it just, when you layer a kick on top of an 808, it's a beautiful combo. I do it most of the time unless the 808 sample has got a lot of, you know, 300 to 400 you know, in that frequency range, which is basically where, you know, the sound that where the kick hits the kick drum, the beater, sorry, hits the kick drum. That's where that sound will be at usually. So yeah, so you can see me boosting it and then decreasing it on the 808 sample, which is, if I'm using both, I'll typically do that. So yeah, I programmed in some more drums, and then at the end I add in this synth. The synth is kind of the star of the show and what sets it apart from just a normal kind of moody trap beat. You'll be hearing it throughout underneath my voice. But yeah, I think that about does it for the voiceover. I'm actually going to uni tomorrow, so I won't have another video up for another week and a half probably. But I'll let you guys know on my Instagram or whatnot. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and yeah, cheers.